Hey guys, this is for 3.1 quadratics. Like my keyboard? Whoa. Okay, anyway. So quadratics. Quadratics look like something with a squared in the air. So if you look at all these examples, there's tiny 2, tiny 2, tiny 2, tiny 2. Yeah, so they all have squares in the air. And then quadratics look like a U when you graph them. Okay, so if we look at these examples, it says find the vertex of, and then I gave you a couple of equations. Some of them have y equals, some of them have f of x, m of x. All that means the same thing. So m of x, g of x, f of x, y equals, it's all the same thing. Don't freak out. Okay, then all of these have a tiny 2, tiny 2, tiny 2, tiny 2, tiny 2. Woohoo. But then some of them look different. Like these last two suckers, they don't have parentheses, and these first two suckers do. Okay, so when they have parentheses, it's called vertex form. And when it doesn't have parentheses, it's called standard or general form. And it looks like ax squared plus bx plus c. Kind of like when we did the quadratic formula. Okay, so these are the tricks from 3.1, and this left side is the vertex form, this right side is for the standard or general form. But either way, to find the vertex of a vertex form, we kind of have done this maybe with circles, where whatever is in the parentheses is opposite. So the opposite of this minus h is a plusative h for my vertex. And then the number outside the parentheses to the right, we keep it the same. So see this plus k, it's still a positive k. Or if you look at this little sucker I wrote right here, I wrote you a little note that it's the opposite h and the same k. So if it's in a parentheses to start with, you have to change it. That's what we did with circles and their centers. Okay, so for this first sucker, we got 2 parentheses x minus 3, close parentheses squared plus 4. And the vertex is the opposite of this negative 3 and the same 4. So the opposite of this negative 3 is 3. The same 4 is the same 4. Hey baby, there's my vertex. Isn't that awesome? Those are my favorite. Hey, like my highlighter, it has a little ball on it, and when I rub, look, it like spins around. Okay, anyway, let's look at this next sucker. It says negative parentheses x plus 2, close parentheses, squirt, minus 6, okay? And we're gonna, since it's in vertex form, we're gonna do the whole opposite, same thing. Yay. Okay, so the opposite of this 2 is a negative 2. The same negative 6 is, I'm going to write down the same negative 6. Okay, so these are the vertexes of these equations. And if you're wondering what a vertex is the bottom of the valley or the top of the mountain. Yeah, and it's also called a minimum and a maximum. So these 2 points would be either the bottom of the valley or the top of the mountain. Okay, if we look at C and D, the equations look different. There's no parentheses, and that's because it's in standard or general form. That looks like ax squared plus bx plus c. And to find the vertex, it's a little bit more. Your first step is to label A, B, C. So for this part C, we have 2x squared minus 8x plus 7. So A is 2, B is negative 8, C is 7. We've done this before when we were doing, We've done this before when we were doing the quadratic formula. That's where this ABC should look familiar. Okay, then the second step is you find negative B divided by 2A. It's a little baby formula. Okay, so let's do that. Negative B divided by 2A. So my first step was to label ABC. My second step is to do this negative B over 2A. So we're just going to plug in our numbers. We're going to have negative, my B is another negative 8. Oh no, all over, 2 parentheses A. which is another 2. And this makes a double negative on top, which turns into a plusative. So we're going to have plusative 8 on top over plusative 4 on bottom. And that spits out a big fat 2. Okay, so what we just did is the x value of the vertex. So it's kind of like we just found the 3 or the negative 2. We found the first number of my vertex. Okay, to find the y value of the vertex, you do this f of negative b over 2a. What? And that just means you take this negative b over 2a and you plug it into your equation. Or if we look at these words, it's a little easier. It says plug that number that we just got, 2, into the x's of your original. In my original are this 2x squared minus 8x plus 7. Okay, well, let's go. So again, my original is 2x squared minus 8x plus 7. And instead of that x, we're going to put this number 2 that we just got. So I'm going to have 2 parentheses something squared minus 8 parentheses something plus 7. And that number 2 that I just got, I'm going to plug it in for the x's. And then you can either whip it in your calculator or you can try and do brain math. If you're going to do brain math, make sure you do PEMDAS that says PE, then MDAS. So PE means parentheses exponent. So this 2 squared is 4. And then there's still a 2 in front of it. So this is if you want to do it using your brain. You can just type it in your calculator if you want. And then, so we've just done the PE. Now we're going to do the M multiply. So 2 multiplied 4 is 8. Minus 8 multiplied 2 is 16. And then a plus 7. You can go ahead. I don't mind. And then let's see here. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. Plus 7 is negative 1. Okay, let's see what that means. So our little how-to step said to plug the number into the x's of your original. Did it. Now it says this is your y value of your vertex. So we plugged in a 2 for my x's and I got out a negative 1. So my vertex is the 2 that I got from the baby formula, negative b over 2a, and the negative 1 that I got from when I plugged that 2 into the equation where the x's are. Okay, let's do this next one to the right. It says m of x. It's okay. That's the same thing as y equals or f of x. Don't freak out. Okay, so my first step is we label a, b, c. So a is the number on the x squared, b is the number on the x, and c is your naked number or your constant. So my a is a negative, oh no, pretend 1. See him standing right there? Okay, so negative 1 for my a. B is 4. C is 5. Okay, now we're going to do the baby formula. Negative b over 2a equals, let's see, negative on top. Then my b is 4. All over 2. It's always over a 2 because that's part of the baby formula. Parentheses, what's my a? Negative 1. Okay, then let's math. On the top, we still get negative 4. On the bottom, we multiply to get 2 multiplied negative 1 is negative 2. And that spits out a big fat plusative 2. Yes. Okay, now the third step is we're going to take that number we just got, 2, and we're plugging it into all of your x's of the original. So let's see, my third step is to deal with the original, which is this negative x squared plus 4x plus 5. And instead of these x's, I'm going to put the number I just got, 2. So I'm going to put negative parentheses something squared plus 4 parentheses something plus 5. And then that number I just got from the baby formula, that 2, I'm going to plug it in to where the x's were. And it's not always 2 from this first step. It was just a coincidence that we got it for both examples. Okay, so now I'm going to do PEMDAS. So, or you can plug it in your calculator. Who cares? Okay, so PE says parentheses exponent. So 2 squared is a 4, but there's that pesky negative in the front. Darn. Okay. Then we have plus 4, parentheses 2, plus 5. So far, all we've done is PE. I did not multiply that negative up into the parentheses first, because that would spell mepebidas, yeah, or something. So anyway, do not multiply that negative into the parentheses first, because M is not the first letter of PEMDAS. P is. Okay, so now we get negative multiply 4 is negative 4 plus 4 times 2, 8, plus 5, and that makes 4 plus 5 is 9. Yeah, 9. Okay, good. Then your final answer is a point, because it represents a vertex. So it's x comma y, or whatever we got from the baby formula, 2. Comma, whatever we got when we plugged in that number to the, yeah, okay. The number we got out from the third step was a 9. So my vertex is 2, 9. So again, these points represent either the bottom of the valley or the top of the mountain. Okay, let's go to this next example. It says, what is the axis of symmetry for parts A through D? So I just got lazy. I did not write the examples again. But let's look at our cheat sheet, our tricks for axis of symmetry over here on the left one. Oh, here it is, axis of symmetry. It says x equals a number, no matter what form it is, vertex or standard. They're both x equals a number. And the number comes from the x of your vertex. Okay. Okay. So on all 4 of these, I'm going to put x equals, x equals, x equals, x equals. Okay. Then for the axis of symmetry, we're going to put the x value from our vertex. So for part A, the x value of my vertex was x comma y. So 3. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 3. And if you're wondering what an axis of symmetry is, it's where our parabola or our U folds down the middle and is symmetric. Okay, so axis of symmetry means where you can fold the parabola. Okay, and it's x equals 3 because if you remember from when we were doing lines, a vertical line looks like x equals a number. Okay, part B, still axis of symmetry, so x equals, but we use the number from the x value, so x, y, -2. Hey, so axis of symmetry comes from your vertex. If we look at part C, our vertex was 2, -1. And which one do I use? I use the x value, the first number. So x equals 2. For part D, the axis of symmetry is x equals the x value from your vertex, which is x, y. So 2. Yay!